in my view, New York has more theater than any other city in the world. Now, they say that there are also a lot of theaters in Los Angeles and London, etc., but really, people are not aware of these small hidden theaters where I go, where the ticket is, you know, $5, $10, $15, $20, and it's worth $500 because they put their heart and soul into it, and they have no commercial interest. They just do it for the love of doing it, for the love of theater. The theater I like most is very depressing theater. That's what I like most of all. I seek that out. The more depressing, the better. And you can find it if you look hard enough. But I was surprised. The National Theater invited me to see the Garcia Lorca, and I was really very, very surprised because the audience seemed a little conservative, and they sat through this 3 hours of relentless agony. Now, there was not one moment where it was not pure misery and agony and suffering. So I could recognize the emotions of the actors expressing the agony, but I couldn't understand the language, you know, so I couldn't fully sort of appreciate what is it that was driving them to this agony, you know what I mean? But I thought the director did an excellent job, very creative staging and lighting and so forth. So I am a sort of theater purist. I believe that when the playwright has written a work, the playwright is very clear in the text what his intentions are. And I really feel that one should adhere and honor the playwright's words as the playwright intended. Otherwise, if you want to take, be very creative and take liberties, then you should write your own material. Then you can do whatever you want. But I don't really appreciate when they adulterate and distort the original text. I'm not trying to crush creativity. That's not my, you know, I'm not a censorship police or anything like that. I believe everybody should have total freedom, artistic freedom, absolutely, to do whatever they want. But I really think it's not ethically or morally correct to take an existing work and then sort of do, you know, distort it. I think that that's not right, because these are sacred works that the, you know, belong to the playwright, and I don't think you have a right to completely change it. I understand they want to make it relevant, you know, and I don't like that. I don't believe in making it relevant or accessible, and I think people have to make an effort to try to understand what the original text was. And there's a big tendency in New York now, it's getting worse and worse, the so-called dumbing down, which is, you know, code for making theater accessible. And they bring in lots of school children, and instead of elevating their intellect, they try to pander and, you know, cater to the lowest denominator, and it's not right. I mean, the classic example is Hamilton, which is ridiculous. It's a ridiculous work, and everybody's going crazy over it and paying thousands of dollars for a ticket. It's like group hysteria over the show. Yes, you know, I came as an immigrant at the age of 10 from India. It was like going to an alien culture when I came to New York. And at the age of 9 or 10, I saw my first American musical. And even though I've seen thousands of plays and musicals since then, I remember vividly every detail of that production, which happened to be an extraordinary, unique production. And there have been many, many books written about that particular production, which was, I was so privileged to see. And it was just one of the best production. It was an exquisite production. There's never been anything of that caliber since then.
Which one was it?
It was the original Rodgers and Hammerstein South Pacific, based on the tales of James Michener, and it was showing so many aspects of truth, but just intolerable racism. There's a song there that's called "You've Got to Be Taught to Carefully Hate All the People Your Relatives Hate." And the actor who sang that song, I still remember every syllable of how he conveyed. It was such a powerful song. But all the characters in it, they have a woman, Bloody Mary, you know, and she represents the kind of native population of Polynesia, where it's set. And then the central character, this white woman, Mary Martin, who did a wonderful job, but ironically, she comes from Texas, which is extremely racist. She was born, I mean, in a culture that was very racist, and she herself, you know, found it difficult to transcend that. Mm-hmm. But the character that she portrays in the work is a white racist character. You know what I mean? So I'm amazed at the courage to put this on the stage, because America is a very historically extremely racist country. So it was very courageous of them to portray this openly on the stage in a very aesthetic way, without sermonizing or without being didactic. It was just pure theater in the best way possible. You know, theater should leave you riveted in your seat at the end of the performance. It should jolt you and punch you in the guts. And, you know, it should stay with you for a long time. Not just that you get up and then go and have dinner or ice cream or something. It has to be very, very deep. Well, there's a little flashing there, right?
No.
Sounds like a little alarm or something, a sensitivity or something. Sounds like an alarm going on. Is it my alarm? Oh no! Oh my goodness! Oh, how awful! Did you switch it off?
Not yet.
Oh no! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! You know, the hotel lent me this. Oh, God. Oh, goodness. Because the first day my phone wasn't working. Oh, how awful.
Who is your favorite playwright?
Well, Shakespeare is my religion, you know. I think there's no one in the universe who will ever come close to writing as magnificently, or has. I mean, he's so far above everyone else in his incredible language and poetry and humor and, you know, every aspect of the human experience. And it's just a total miracle. It's so unbelievable to understand how this person emerged in that environment, you know, with this incredible ability to convey every facet of human existence. But my other favorite playwrights are Chekhov and Tennessee Williams. And I like Tennessee Williams because he writes about the outcasts of society and very fragile, vulnerable people who are despised by society. And they feel, you know, like homeless. That is to say, they don't have a place anywhere because they've been rejected by society. So he writes about these characters and in a very competent and artistic and poetic way. I've been to Paris, Berlin. Yeah, I've been to 80 countries. I've seen a lot of theater.
Can you compare theater in New York and in Europe?
Oh, yeah, it's totally different. Of course, I haven't been there recently in Berlin, but from what I understand, and a lot of the artists come to New York, and I can't go to their type of theater. It's just, you know, it doesn't have the emotional sort of content. It's a lot of times it's just a vanity piece on the part of the director. Look how talented I am to do this, you know. And I don't like that type of theater at all. I like theater that's truthful. Well, film, again, like theater, can change your life. I mean, a good film, definitely. And film is very important as a artistic expression. And we need more powerful films to change people for the better. to give them a deeper understanding. Because the world is, you know, such a colossal failure today, and we have to try as artists to ameliorate this horrible situation in the best way we can. I mean, film cannot eliminate poverty, but it can possibly raise consciousness and promote activism to deal with some of the human suffering. Right now, I see there are all sorts of young people making films about the suffering of these communities in the Middle East. I saw about 5 films depicting this subject matter. You know, all these refugees in the camps and so forth like that. So it can, you know, motivate people possibly to go as volunteers or encourage other people to go as volunteers and help them. They showed these wonderful altruistic people coming from Norway and other countries, doctors and social workers and things like that, and how they are trying in their own way to help the plight of these pitiful refugees living in these awful conditions. It's very difficult to find people who are willing to have an honest dialogue instead of just spouting dogma and things like that, their own hardened beliefs, but an open exploration of truth. I don't want to write about theater because then that would make it a job, you know, like a critic or something. And besides, I have so much sort of content to go and see, and I go to a lot of cultural events. New York, again, you know, the public libraries are the best in the world, and they have so many wonderful lectures and panels and conferences, and then there are so many universities, and they're constantly having all sorts of events covering all kinds of subject matter. So I go to at least 4 or 5 events, and then the drama bookshop is constantly inviting theater people to talk. So I go there a lot. So I just don't have or the inclination to really write about it. There are far more competent people who write about it. In the 1980s, I saw Les Miserables 72 times.
The musical?
Yes, Les Miserables, because it was just wonderful. I did see that, but at that time I was working as a Broadway usher, so I didn't have to pay 72 times. I only paid 3 times. Mm-hmm. The rest of the time, as a Broadway usher, I could stay and watch the performance. Recently, there was a magnificent production of I don't know if you're familiar with the South African playwright called Athol Fugard. He's South Africa's most famous playwright, mm-hmm. and I've seen maybe 15 of his plays. And this particular play is very difficult to do in a credible way. And in New York, they did the most exquisite production of this play. And it was so beautiful that I had to see it again. And the second time, I sat in the front row so that I could hear every syllable, because the language was so important. And the interchange, it was a white young boy and 2 black men. And it was so complex in the relationship between the poor boy, I mean, poor in the sense of he was having his own troubles, and this interchange. It was just a beautiful staged production. It was very touching and wonderful. So that I saw twice. And then this English director did Taming of the Shrew in Central Park. That's a free production. And I expected to absolutely hate it because I'm a Shakespeare purist. And she had only women playing men. Mm-hmm. And it was, much to my surprise, I liked it so much that I went back a second time and saw it. So you can't tell beforehand. You can go in expecting to hate something. And because I go in a lot of times out of curiosity, just to see how terrible it is, you know. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like this current Australian production, which is supposed to be doing Chekhov, but it's a horrible production. And this Australian company, they come once a year, and they do these totally distorted, adulterated versions of the classic text. they're not respected in society, you know, the actors. I mean, I feel that people are not giving them the respect they deserve because they are so important. I think they're sacred, the actors. And these actors, some of them do such an amazing job. So we have to give them a lot of gratitude for doing this because they certainly are not compensated monetarily. They're taken advantage of economically, totally, you know. They're not paid a fair wage whatsoever. And these theater producers, there's a big imbalance between the money the administrative people get and what the actors get. And it's not fair. It's very unjust. But I don't think there's any society in which there's that kind of economic justice for the artists. A good production is truthful, and a bad production can be full of personal ego, and that's bad. I mean, it's not, and the motivation is not there. So it depends on why they want to do the production also. You know, one is to show off the talent of the actor. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to create a work of art that is faithful to what the playwright wrote. And some of these creative teams, like the scenic designers and the costume designers, they're just amazing what they can do transforming the stage. And they don't get the credit whatsoever for this magnificent magic achievement. And there's only one pure theater in New York that you can rely on to do pure theater. And one or two that come close, but the majority, it's very haphazard. Sometimes you see a good production and sometimes not. This one theater that does consistently very high quality work, and the maximum ticket price is $25. The critic will not go, this critic personally that I've had a discussion with and telling him that he is not doing his job as a critic because he's never once gone to see a production in this theater, you know? And I think that is reprehensible. It's a thing that most people who claim they like theater never go to because it's not a mainstream kind of theater venue, but it's the artistic director has such high standards and he consistently does brilliant work in his production. Every single production, I must have seen 50 productions there, every single one is a worthy production. And he does it on the smallest budget, but he has such a competent creative team that it's amazing how they work with no money. And they should get funding from the city, which does give cultural places funding. But they should give this particular theater much more. You know, they hardly give them anything.
What do you think is the purpose of human life?
The purpose of cinema?
Of human life.
Oh, of human life. It's a vast mystery. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. It's everybody imposes their artificial meaning. I don't know, human beings have a drive to search for meaning and impose this meaning in one way or another. And it is so artificial because they should, you know, face the reality, which is that the mystery is an enormous mystery. We're a very, very small, insignificant speck. We cannot even comprehend the infinity of the universe, the magnitude. And yet, we have these pitiful physicists and so forth with this myopic view that making grand assertions about the origin of the universe. Are not equipped. Their minds are not large enough to understand the vastness of the universe. So we're enveloped in this huge, huge mystery. And the church is giving one type of answer and meaning, and other people are giving another type of meaning. And I'm very nihilistic. I mean, I think that people should recognize and be able to be honest about facing the reality of the situation, which is nobody knows where they came from and why they're here.